Right, so can everybody see and hear me now? Is that working? Because Bob Ross. Right, so yeah. Right, yeah, I actually literally just had to stop the stream and start it because YouTube beta streaming is so crap. If there's a problem with your like connection, I think, or whatever, for like 1 second during the stream, it won't let you just resume the settings as you had it. Anyway, we like to have proper chats in these streams, so the mods will just have to time people out if they keep spamming stuff in the chat because it's not very helpful. So yeah, what happened last time is I don't know if you even saw me at all to begin with, but it said I was live. So I was a couple of minutes late starting and I said sorry, I basically had the option of either starting on time, getting interrupted, and then having to like go off camera for a bit or start late. So that did turn up, but I got no comments on the entire thing, so I thought it wasn't working. So I refreshed the page and then the stream broke. I did see Laser Point gave me a donation, so thank you to him if he's back on. That will work fine because it gives me those instantly. But yeah, that's annoying because it was just. I'll probably not. The annoying thing is, I'd like to be able to schedule the streams and that, but it seems if you do that, they're more likely to break than if you just stream live. So it's like you can't win with this new streaming thing. If I use OBS, it crashes constantly, and it's like an extra delay because you've got something between you and YouTube. If you do that. No, it was me crashing, sort of, I'll explain, but thank you for the other donation, I did see it. So yeah, what happened, Laser, was where I started scheduling the streams now properly for YouTube, I thought that'd be better, but it's actually not. Because you schedule a stream and it asks you like which webcam you'll use and all that, and you pick it in the settings. I started the stream, and although it said I was live, there were loads and loads of people in the chat speaking as though I wasn't on. So I refreshed the page, and then it broke. It wouldn't let me go back to the stream. And it was saying, like, we can't get stuff from your video encoder. Well, of course you can't, because the video encoder thing is built into the YouTube beta stuff now. So basically they've made a system where if you F5 the page, you can't get back into it. So well done to them for doing that. I was looking for all the options and there was literally no option to say, just let me resume my current stream, please. But yeah, back on now. So whether or not the next time I stream I schedule it like this, I don't know, because this is where I've always had problems before, where it's a bit annoying with YouTube. I mean, when I get a new PC, I can stream via OBS and it won't be an issue, but it's just a bit frustrating that they try and give you all these different options for streaming, and it seems every single one has some sort of weird flaw with it. There's no point because I'm a YouTube sort of person, not a Twitch person. There's no point me doing Twitch streams if I'm a YouTube channel. Well, my favourite gas mask, the Avon CT12, but you can literally use any full-face gas mask with a particulate filter for NBC attack or just nuclear attack, although it won't protect you from the nukes, it just protects you from the radioactive dust. Well, the thing is, I always announce person on my channel, or like 99% of the time I announce on my channel what time the stream will be that day as soon as I know. The issue is a lot of people just don't get a notification for that, or they don't bother checking it. Yeah, okay, cool. I might carry on trying to schedule it. I just hope they get a better way of doing it, to be honest. But yeah, I might not be streaming tomorrow at this point, just because I'll do at least an hour today, but just because sometimes I stream sort of like 1 or 2 p.m. sort of time in the UK, Fridays, but tomorrow I've got a few things on, and it might be really awkward to try and cram a stream in with everything else. People have recognised me in public, but not as a YouTube thing, just as, oh, it's Liam. For the people saying, can I ask a question, just ask the question. Don't say, can I ask a question before asking a question. What, the big one, that one, from eBay? Well, the M10 is a copy of the US M17, so I'd say the actual original. That's annoying, that sign's fallen down, because that was up earlier, but I suppose the blue tack's just melted that was behind it. I'll actually have to drill it up properly at some point. US M17A2s are pretty good if you want a cheek filter mask. Otherwise, the M10M is probably one of the best sort of M17 pseudo copies, but again, I don't like cheek filter masks, so. Any GOST 40mm filter will fit the GP7, assuming that your GP7's not got damaged intake port like mine has, where filters don't screw in properly. But yeah, Polish FP5 filters or whatever will fit the GP7. Yeah, pump shotguns are allowed under a Section 2 firearms license. That's the cool white one, isn't it? Panda Productions. I don't have one, sadly, but yeah, it's a cool looking mask. Yeah, thank you, Bradley. Don't forget to like the video. That helps me out. Apologies for all the technical issues at the beginning, but it seems we're working now, and hopefully it's going to carry on working. Also, as Vladimir reminded me on yesterday's stream, I need to shield my own stuff more because I always forget, or he thinks I'm too modest. So if you do want to ever support me, you can either do super chats in this chat, which goes directly to me, or you can support me on Patreon. There's a link below, or you can buy the merchandise. Sadly, I've not got the thing again. I've just got a beer again today because the weather's hot, as you can see there. It's 29.5 it says at the moment in my room, and that's with the aircon bloody going at the moment. My room's been close to 30 degrees all day with my aircon running. As soon as I got in from volunteering, other rooms in the house have got to about 100 Fahrenheit, 38 Celsius sort of temperatures. Tell me when you see this, thanks. I see your message, Peach. Yeah, what Ian says is correct. It's free shot pump only for regular people. If you have an auto or a pump, it's restricted to like an internal tube magazine of free shots. But if you get like a side-by-side or over-under shotgun, I don't know if there's actually restrictions on that, because I know there are like weird triple or quadruple barrel shotguns, aren't there? There may be still limited use of cheek filter masks in some militaries, but most militaries just use 40mm NATO GOST or like M50 GSR style mask. Yeah, the Z56, you mean? Well, it's because I assume Draeger originally designed that. And the Israeli 4A1 mask is originally called the Draeger Simplex. But I don't know if it was like to do with World War II and the Holocaust, or if it was just they gave Israel the rights or Israel copied it. But Israel was basically given, for whatever reason, the rights for the Draeger M65, which they did the improved version as the Israeli M15. And the 4A1 was basically their improved version of the Simplex. So, again, there's probably a variety of reasons, but I assume it was just kind of out of please forgive us kind of thing. The Germans gave them the production rights to do it. But yeah, so a lot of the Israeli masks are kind of German masks, but the Israelis just got the right from that way. Yeah, I watched Waco when it was first on. But yeah, the thing I liked about the Waco show is they kind of make the FBI look bad, don't they? But not completely awful. Like they kind of try and do a balanced thing on it, which I quite liked. But you know, because it surprised me that there was a major television thing where they didn't just make the Branch Davidians look like these super evil cultists, you know, that douse themselves in petrol and set themselves on fire, which I think is still the official government narrative, isn't it, over Waco? Oh, that's cool. Let me look at that one then, Chris. I have to search Draeger, because at the moment it's coming up with all sorts of weird stuff. That's cool looking, yeah. So yeah, that's closer to the M15, isn't it, than the M65 is. But yeah, it looks like they've got the M65's kind of face piece for that. Changed where the intake is and put the voice diaphragm. Or has that got a voice diaphragm, or is it literally just the XL valve with a different cover on? But then, yeah, it's got the drinking tube connector, hasn't it? But yeah, that's very cool. Thank you for telling me about that. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, how you can see how some of the Israeli masks literally have precursors in some other masks. Yeah, well, the temperature finally seems to be dropping now, and I think the only reason for that is, despite me having the extra light on and everything and being streaming, I think it's just because the sun, let me look, is lower in the sky now, and there's a few clouds it's gone behind. Yeah, so I think that's the only reason that it's starting to cool down now at my end, is the angle of the sun's got lower and there's clouds. Whereas the problem is with my room, as I said to some of you before, I've got a conservatory kind of greenhouse thing outside my bedroom, so if I open my window it gets hotter. And because what ends up happening is, because my window faces west, not east, essentially that gets hotter as the day goes on rather than cooler. I suppose if you've got something that's hot in the winter and cool in the summer, that's how you want it. My house is hot in the winter, very hot in the summer. The thing is with the winter, though, it doesn't bother me because I just put on the jumper if I'm cold. Half the time I never put the central heating on. Well, it wouldn't have been produced by a company as far as I'm aware, Little Cream Cheese, because it was obviously like a Soviet state production. Although I do think they technically did have companies, didn't they, still in the USSR, but they were all state-owned. So I don't know, maybe somebody who's really into Russian masks could actually tell you some of the history of like Russian factories and contracts under the USSR. But I know a lot of that, although they had company names, they were just state-owned subsidies, weren't they, rather than individual companies. But that's actually a very interesting thing. No, the only military-ish shovel I've got is the Cold Steel Spetsnaz one, which isn't obviously an original military one. I'll definitely do a special video for 100k, I don't know what yet. Alright, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Cody, is the video I'm going to film tomorrow, it won't be a stream, is going to be me recommending some cheap masks you can get as surplus ones. Not necessarily for protection reasons, but just that look cool. So I've done ones before, like saying what are the cheapest masks you can get that would hopefully work and things like that. But some of the masks I'm going to recommend are things like the French M51, the Hungarian M76, not because I think it's a good mask, but it looks cool and it's generally cheap. So it's going to be all stuff like that I recommend in the video I'm going to film tomorrow. Sadly, I don't know if I'm going to have the space and all the other stuff for doing all the SB, like self-contained breathing apparatus stuff. Because again, as well as all the extra risks of it, it's more space storage, like specialized storage needs. At least masks have filters that screw into them, don't need much special storage stuff. FBI agent says notice him, please. You're noticed, FBI agent, but shouldn't you be being a bit sneakier if you're in the FBI? Well, if they're reproduction masks, I doubt they work. But it depends. Do you just want it like as a cosplay thing? What's this CM6M thing you're on about? Right, if anybody asks a question, I don't notice it, just because the chat's going quite fast. Just post your question again. So that's an interesting one, Myra. It looks a bit, to be honest, I know it's not technically the same mask, but to me, that looks very much like my Scott Pro mask. Looking at the pictures of that. I'm just going to open a page to see if I can find some more details on it. Yeah, it is slightly different because it looks like it's got a drinking tube down the bottom there rather than having one drinking tube connector on that side. But yeah, it looks very similar to the Scott M98 or the Scott Pro mask. Well, they're better, Jacob, in the sense that if you're buying a brand new mask, the condition, it has to be in good condition because you're essentially buying it under guarantee, aren't you? And in theory, modern masks are better in terms of like the rubbers they're made out of, more polycarbonate and things like that in them and all that stuff. But that doesn't mean that all surplus masks are bad or anything like that. Really, it's about spotting a good deal, I think. Yeah, person's right there. If you do really want me to notice something, you can give me money, because then YouTube flashes it up and it stays on the screen for me. So, yeah, you can always bribe me that way. But I'll try and answer every question anyway. But as I said, if the chat moves too quickly, I'll miss out. But as in pre-World War II, Bartos, the Mark IV might be a pre-war one, I'm not sure. I assume the civilian duties and British sort of regular civilian masks were made slightly before World War II and during World War II, but I think mine are probably just made during the war. I have got a German Volksmask or Volksmask 37, so that would have to be pre-war, wouldn't it, if it was a German mask designed in 1937, even because I'm pretty sure mine was made before 1939 on that anyway. I don't know if anybody still, like any companies still do make gas masks for dogs, because at one point horse and dog gas masks were obviously a thing that were produced because they were used in the military service a lot more. But because they're not used as much now, I don't think anybody really bothers. Pretty much the same thing as you're saying, gas mask, Finn, probably one of those masks from the interwar period. So I'd say probably my Volksmask or Volksmask 37 might be my oldest mask. Because at least that's one that's probably from like 37, 38, and it's still got a date stamp intact. With some of my masks, because the rubber's worn, you can't actually see when they were manufactured. No, I've only got one World War One replica mask that's a very cheap replica. I don't have any proper World War One replicas. I can't even remember the gas masks in GTA 5, to be honest. Yeah, the S6 is cool. Oh, I've got a Belgian 702. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that one. I definitely don't have a WZ32, but yeah, I've got a Belgian 702, and I always forget about that. It's even in the bloody metal tin. That's nice. But yeah, that was one I was really lucky to get for like £30 at one point, because for whatever reason, loads went really cheap at one point. Or, you know, cheapish for the age of the mask. But all right, I'll open Discord now and hope I don't crash the thing, mate. But you always send interesting stuff, so then I can talk to you about it if it's loads up. So yeah, the good thing at the animal shelter was today when I was volunteering, we've got 41 people on. That's really good. Don't forget to give it the stream a like if you're on and haven't given it a like yet, because there's currently more viewers than likes. But yeah, what was really good when I was volunteering earlier was a couple of the people would come in like at 6 or 7 a.m. because we normally start at 8:30 a.m. most of the staff and volunteers. I mean, volunteers can start whenever they want, but most volunteers start at 8:30 at the earliest. Anyway, like one of the guys I work with, Simon, he'd started working, I think like 7 a.m. or earlier. So, so it's a proper NATO gas mask hose, is it? Or it's a proper standard size breathing ones. That's interesting. Let me see if I can find that listing, but from the UK eBay, and then see if it will say it will post. I know it says ships worldwide, but I don't know if it will. So let's just see if I can get it up on the UK eBay, and then see if that's interesting. That'd be very interesting. Okay, so both are from the United States that are coming up, and both work out about £20. It looks like quite a decent hose, and it's got good reviews. Does it have shipping tax on it? That's just one of the things I'm worrying about at the moment. Because I think I've said before, sometimes when I've bought stuff from the US, even when it's cheap, customs sticks a fucking tax on it as soon as I get it. So there's a picture, it plugs into a GP5, a 4A1, a Shums, an M51, I assume that is, and it's rated M15, so that's interesting. What I'll do is I'll save it to my watch list. Add to watch list. There we go. Right, I've put that on my watch list now, Laser Point, so I'll think about getting one a bit later. Oh, that's very interesting, Chris. Does it have many differences from the PMK2, or is it like a literal 1-1 clone? As far as when Mexico doesn't have nuclear weapons, the countries that do have nuclear weapons, in whatever capacity, as in atomic and hydrogen bombs, or either or even not many bombs, but they at least have 1 or 2 bombs, is US, UK, France, Russia, China, North Korea, Israel, India and Pakistan. And obviously Iran at the moment is trying to enrich enough uranium to make nuclear weapons, but I don't think they've developed any yet. There might be a couple of other countries, but there's only a handful of countries that do actually have nuclear weapons. Yeah, thank you, Killstrike. I did ask people just a few minutes ago to like the stream, but we'll keep trying to remind people. Well, people are free to dislike my videos if they want to, Bob Ross. As I said, personally, I don't quite get if you don't like my videos or you bother watching them. Because personally, I don't really go around trying to find videos I don't like. But, you know, people are free to dislike it if they want to. You know, that's their right to do that, so I can't complain. But that's interesting, Chris, yeah. Well, what I'm hoping, Cody, is because Boris wants to actually get along with Trump and do trade deals with him and things like that, I'm hoping soon that they might do a thing where people can buy and sell to each other in the US and the UK, and they get rid of a lot of this bollocks with trade tariffs between the UK and the US, because that would be good. Only Fosters, sadly, because there's just shitloads of Fosters in the fridge, because I think my dad bought one of those massive cardboard crates of it, and now the back fridge is just filled with Fosters. So Fosters is not what I'd consider a good beer, but the weather is hot and I feel like beer, so it will do. But we were having this conversation on the last stream where some people saying they drink just to get drunk, so only beer will do them. Personally, I'm a bit of both, where I prefer, you know, like Pilsners and really nice wheat beers that have a really nice taste, but at the end of the day, it's alcohol, isn't it? And if I have one and then later on get another beer, the second one always tastes better because you're a bit inebriated by that point. That's cool. I assume he likes it then, agnostic libertarian. But the thing is, when I say beers like I like things like some of the Czech Pilsners and things like that. Out of like the more common lagery kind of things, is it Kronenberg 1604? That's one I think's quite a nice taste for like a supermarket-y lager. That's one of the things I actually like with Lidl and Aldi. They do quite a lot of interesting like foreign beers and wines and spirits and all those sort of things. So you actually have a bit better choice sometimes, even though it's cheaper in Lidl and Aldi than you do in Sainsbury's. Oh, that's a point. I think my dad said he was going to Sainsbury's tomorrow. I need to put I need to give him a load of money so he can get me some good beers to put in the fridge, because now the weather's getting hot, I'm actually feeling like drinking. Right. Oh, thank you very much, Laser Point. And Agnostic Libertarian, I'm just going to Google that one so I can try and remember it. Right, let me read your thing. You purchased a PDF and an SHM42U for my buddy. Oh, so cool. You've got him into it now, have you? So, yeah, it's kind of addictive, isn't it? You get somebody a mask and things like that, a couple of masks, and then all of a sudden they're really into it. I'd like to live in the US, to be honest, Cody. US or Canada, to be honest. Mostly just because the US has a lot of rights that I wish we had over here. But there's obviously things I don't like with the US, and one of those is how bad the healthcare situation is. And I know if you've got the proper insurance, blah, 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 it's not so bad. But the point is, in the UK, you can have no health insurance. You can literally get any operation pretty much covered for free because you pay, you know, taxes. And, you know, if you ever need medication, it's kept at a very low price because of the fact we have socialised medicine. And I pay for my prescriptions annually because I'm chronically ill. So it means for like £100, I can get however much medication I want as long as the doctors approve it for me. Because I know in the US there's lots of crazy stuff, isn't there? Like how like we have this in the UK, because the stupid thing in the UK is, like, I'm not saying it's stupid if you want private healthcare, because some of my friends have private healthcare, but like I won't go personally into his personal things. But Bart was on private health insurance. You know, my mate was on the stream the other day, and he was trying to get some stuff done privately. And basically, the private health insurance, even though they have to pay for it, didn't want to fucking cover the costs of having some of the stuff done privately, like saying, oh, we can't cover that because whatever, blah, blah, blah reason. But then he just asked the NHS, and then he could get seen in a week and have the stuff done on the NHS, you know, for nothing. So in the end, I think he ended up cancelling his health insurance, or he's cancelling it when it expires or something, because, you know, there's a lot of bollocks like that, isn't it? That you're paying for something and they still try and scam you out of... Oh, yeah. I've seen some of those, Jacob, because somebody was asking me about those the other day. They're the orange ones, aren't they? Reactor filters. So how do they work exactly? Do they put some sort of stable iodine in the filter along with the particle filter? I'd have no idea how they work. But because for most nuclear things, it's just P3, P100 filters, isn't it? Because they're just meant to be really good particulate filters. But I hope Boris is going to do a good job. I really do, because the country is in a really shit state in a lot of ways. And Boris gives me some confidence. I'll be cautiously optimistic with Boris, let's say that, because at least yesterday when he stood outside Number 10, he says we're going to put public spending into this and that, and, you know, things that people actually want the government to spend in, not just keep cutting money, and everything just gets worse. I've not got any proper American helmets World War II collector, but I've got a European copy of the US M1 helmet, because lots of European countries in the Cold War, you know, made M1s under license. So I've got that, and I've also got a Pascut helmet, but it's not a US Pascut helmet, it's the British Armed Police like license copy of a Pascut. So the liner inside is different, but it's essentially a Pascut. Is there any chance, Laser, if you could safely do it, if you have quite a few, that you could cut one open and take pictures? As long as it's safe to do so and you don't mind doing it. Because I'm just kind of fascinated, because I've never been able to read up how they work. So I'm assuming it's just going to be a particle filter that they maybe put stable iodine or something like that in, or boron or something that can absorb radiation, but I have no clue. American uniforms, sadly not. I've got an M81 Woodland M65 jacket, but I don't think it's an authentic US one. I think it's a copy, and I've got a couple of things like that where, you know, I've got stuff that's not authentic uniforms, but it's like very good copies of it. But yeah, I definitely think doctors should be paid a good wage, person, because that's definitely a thing that we've got a problem, like a drain essentially for doctors in the UK, because the issue is that doctors don't make that much money on the NHS here. And one of the big problems is if you're going to go through medical school and all that, you are going to rack up a serious load of, you know, it's bad enough doing regular university, but medical school is a lot harder, and you're going to rack up a lot more debts doing it. And then once you've done it, you're still not going to be making much, because, you know, so that's why we get lots of doctors, and I'm not blaming them, from other countries, because they live in countries where they get free education or very cheap education. So they get a very good medical degree standard. And then they just come to the UK because we're short of doctors. So it causes problems for your homegrown ones. But I'm not saying we should stop foreign doctors coming in, because we've got a shortage of doctors. What they should do is actually give grants and, you know, make people in the UK want to be doctors, and then maybe pay doctors a better wage. But no, I don't have a bar. There's a Lee Enfield at the top there, covered in stuff, and there's an L1A1 SLR around there. Oh, there we go. There, which is the British battle rifle, British-built version of the FMFL. As in the Polish MUA. Well, I know the OM14 has a designation a bit like that, and the MUA has another designation like that. I just find MUA is easier to remember, and OM14 is easier to remember. Strange, isn't it, if you go to their... So there's a lot of things like that I don't get, where sometimes what I never get is if people emigrate to a country, they get better standards than people that live there, and that makes sense to me. No, the M1 copy, I'm afraid, is stored with all my other helmets right at the other end of the house. I'll show you something else I've got that is authentic and American, though. Should be able to get this down. Ooh, there we go. You want to see something American? Right, top 5 masks that I would like to own. Right, okay, definitely the Canadian C4, because loads of people really like that, and I've not got one. Probably the FM53, just because, why not? I'm an Avon fanboy, and I'd like to see Avon's kind of highest tech mask, and assuming they've not made one that's higher tech than the FM53 yet. The new mask Australia's getting, is that an Airbus one? I can't remember the exact name of it. Is it like the LBAM or something like that? It's an M1 carbine, because it's not got a fire selector on it. It's just the original semi-auto M1 with the 15-round mag on it. So I've got to pick 2 more masks. The Shum 2012, not because it's a particularly interesting mask, but I do like the idea of like a weird GP5M, GP7 sort of weird hybrid mask, PMK hybrid thing that the Russians currently sell. And one more mask. What would be the last mask I'd want to get? Maybe an SF10, because I love the S10 so much, and the SF10 I don't have. The one I spent the most on gas mask fin was my XM28E4, which is the the cheek filter mask the Americans did as a prototype to replace the M17, and it never properly did. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, I'd say FM54 then over the FM53. But yeah, just for the sake of having like a very modern high-tech mask. But the weird thing though is that Spaziani mask I bought that was like 30 quid has really grown on me. And it's getting to the point now where I might be actually saying, do I like this more than my CT12? Because it's a really good panoramic mask. And that's something I've wanted for ages. So I keep that in my car all the time now. The FM12 and the Spaziani sit in my car boot in their satchel bags with filters. Because it's nice, like Laser said a few times, having a panoramic mask if you're out and about doing anything where you need a mask, because it looks less threatening for most people. And it gives you a very good field of view and everything. Well, it's strange, but it's still a prototype designation, isn't it? Because XM is when the Americans did stuff under prototypes. So it's a bit strange like that, because, yeah, they made loads of them for a prototype, but it never was called the M28, was it, in terms of, or officially adopted. They had it for a few select things, but they never properly put into service. It's a weird one. Yeah, I don't think I've noticed a weird smell of mine. I've bought one for Weapon Collector because I'm visiting him in September and I'm going to do some videos of him. And because his only gas mask he's got is a Finnish M61V2, which, funny enough, was the first mask I ever got. For a gift, I'm buying him. I've got it on order for when it comes, another Spaziani. And then I'll sort him out a couple of filters for it. I think it's meant to come with another sealed filter as well, but I'll probably sort him out maybe a particle filter for it for shed work if he doesn't want to clog up NBC filters, and maybe an expired but still sort of working 40mm just NBC filter. Right, let me see if I can explain person, and I'm still not going to be an expert on this. So, with Britain and the United Kingdom, if you consider the island of Britain, you'd have Ireland included in that. But in fact, Ireland, like the Republic of Ireland, is its own thing. So you basically have England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, which make up the UK. But a lot of time when people talk about Great Britain, I think they actually normally are just referring to Scotland, England, and Wales, because they're like the mainland bit, or they just refer to that as Britain. Now, as for what was the other one, British Commonwealth, that is things like the colonies that are not independent, or ones that are still independent, like Australia, that I still think like kind of being a Commonwealth nation. Maybe an Australian might know better than me for that. But like when we have the Commonwealth Games, you always get like Australia and New Zealand and Canada and all those in there. But obviously, you have lots of ex-British colonies, things like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, loads of those that were part of the British Empire at one point. So that would be that, if that makes sense. That's probably actually wrong, but because bear in mind, when you go to school, they don't actually teach you very much about Britain, weirdly. We learn all about lots of stuff in history that wasn't related to Britain, but they don't teach you your own history anymore for some strange reason. What, on the M1 Carbine Peach? The sight pitch is very small, but it's accurate enough. Paul Harrell did a video recently where he disproved a lot of the myths of the M1 Carbine, showing that, you know, you could accurately shoot it 100 yards and all the things like that, and it did have all the good power. So yeah, the sight picture isn't amazing on M1 Carbine, but you get a good enough sight picture. It's basically just a small rear ring and the front post. You know, it's one of those sort of sights. Yeah, exactly, small peep sight. But I like the M1 Carbine because it's ridiculously lightweight for a World War II gun. That's what Paul Harrell was saying in his video when he talked about the M1 Carbines recently. Because he was like showing that it's actually lighter than some of his AR-15s, you know, and he was saying that there might be like variants of Colt M4 which are on par weight-wise with these, but for a wood furniture gun, if they'd made the M1 carbine later on and done it with like gun plastic on it, it would have probably got even lighter. But yeah, this is a really light rifle. But yeah, the thing is, Ghost users, I think a lot of the people who give the M1 criticism are people who probably didn't understand what its intended role was originally. Because obviously it was designed for rear echelon troops, wasn't it, and paratroopers and people that needed something better than a pistol, but not like an M1 Garand. So the M1 carbine was quite a nice compromise, where you've got like essentially it was roughly the same power as a 357 Magnum you were showing it when shot, if you shot 357 from a like, you know, lever rifle or whatever. So it's powerful enough for what it was intended for, like 200 yard or less combat. But yeah, I mean, you can get ones World War II collected out of the wire stock, like the folding metal stock on them. But as far as I'm aware, they never did M1 carbines that weren't either wood or, you know, like the metal parts on it. Like I said, I never think they went and did gun plastic ones. Right, what I will show you of this, because it's quite interesting, because somebody told me on another stream how to do it. Might have been shot zombie, I can't remember now. Let's take the mag out. See if I can do this with my tactical pen. If not, I'll use a screwdriver. Actually, I think my tactical pen is still in my trouser pocket for when I was volunteering earlier. Let's finally use this. I've got another lighter to show you in a minute that came today as well. Right, see you, person. So it's this bit here. I push that in. If I can actually manage this on stream. But yeah, I can show you the gun with all the guts out of it, because on this DIAC you can actually still take the bits out, which is cool. Right, there we go. I think that's properly in there. So then, did that lift up? I'm trying to remember. Or did it lift forwards first? Oh, there we go. Right, so take the wooden top guard off. There we go. And then I can lift from... I remember how you do it. You just literally push up from underneath. Or do I have to take that rear screw out as well? I'm trying to remember now. No, I have to take that screw out, don't I, as well? I need the flathead screwdriver for this. But yeah, the cool thing is you can literally take the guts of this gun out of the kind of housing. Because the other thing was how easy it was for them to convert M1s to M2s. Because they literally added an extra part, didn't they, to put the fire selector on. I think it was a Forgotten Weapons video I watched on that. Because the good thing with a DIAC is you don't have to worry that you'll break your gun. I mean, obviously I don't want to damage any DIACs, but you know, the point I'm making is you don't have to worry that anything's going to actually stop working in a sense, because it's not like the guns work in the first place. Yeah, in the UK, you can own a Lee Enfield under a Section 1 firearms license, because bolt actions are still allowed. Right, apologies if I'm missing any comments while I'm taking this apart, but obviously I'm wanting to concentrate on this and not lose anything. Right, so what I'm doing at the moment is just taking that rear screw out. There we go, so there's that big screw removed. So now I'm pretty sure it just lifts out. If I remember when I did it last time. I'm pretty sure cheek filters didn't have the same lifespan as a... feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure... There we go. I'm pretty sure cheek filters did not have a... So there you go. There's the guts of an M1 carbine. And what you can actually do now is the mag will go back in. Should do anyway. Yeah, there we go. So in theory, you could still shoot it like this if this was a live one. Because, you know, it's just a wooden furniture that's come off of it, basically, but all the gun internals are this bit. So, that's the actual bit attached to the thing, isn't it? Hang on, hold it by the mag. So that would move that. Now, that would actually spin around normally, but that's been welded shut where they deactivated it on this one. But, there's a spring in that bit that's obviously not used anymore where they've deactivated it. Yeah, it's a cool gun. Obviously, on a live one, you'd have a little bit more in that trigger assembly, so that all connects together. But there's the safety, locks the trigger. Don't know if you can see from that how that works. No. But yeah. So there you go. M1 carbine. I'm saying it. The nice thing of this is it's quite an interesting one of my DX because you can at least take it all apart. With some of the DX you can't because how they've done the DX. But, so yeah, to put it back together, we'll slot this bit in there. I think you have to slot that bit forward first, don't you? I should take the mag out because that's going to cause a problem if I leave the mag in. It's my first mistake. There we go. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it rocks backwards, does it? In like that? Yeah, there we go. So that bit's flush with that. Yeah, the charging handle on my RPK doesn't move either, Peach. Where they deact that, you can't move the charging handle. No, it would be illegal to reactivate it. And again, it'd be a lot more work than just buying a new one. But M1 carbines wouldn't be allowed anyway because they're semi-autos. Unless it was somehow modified not to, like charge itself after each shot. But in terms of UK firearms laws, even the Section 1 license, you need things that are bolt action, or unless they're 22 long rifle, then you can have things that are semi-auto. But yeah, so if you had one of these converted to 22 long rifle, you could have one that was actually fully functional in a sense. But as a 30 carbine, no. Right, then that should. You want the bayonet lug at the bottom, don't you? I need to depress that bit in, don't I, to get the. It'll be easier said than done. I'm trying to do this on a stream, holding it, but basically I just need to depress this bit to. There we go. Press it a bit further, maybe. Give it a little rotate. So it's all flush again. So almost back to how it was. The thing isn't popping straight back up at the moment. But there we go. Right, and that's all back together again. I could probably do that much faster if I wasn't trying to do it on video and I'd rehearsed it beforehand. But there you go. That's the furniture back on it. These were very simple to take apart. Then obviously put the mag back in. Then if it was live, that's always been a bit loose in my one for some reason. I don't know if that's the case for all M1s or if that's where they deact it, something's a bit looser on there, but then yeah, you'd charge it, that bit would normally move and then you'd be ready to fire. But oh yeah, I saw your thing on the Discord about that earlier. So when there was that picture of that like African soldier or whatever it was wearing one upside down, that would have actually worked. Although he had to plug in the filter, so he'd have suffocated anyway, wouldn't he? But you'd be going blind though, wouldn't you? Because you wouldn't be able to see out the mask. Yeah, I missed the comments because I was doing things with the M1, but yeah, but you see, that's the thing that worries me is if, let's say, they're only an hour or so less than normal filter, as soon as that runs out, you're dead. At least with other filters, you could be given a replacement filter. Now, I know in the situation where you're not given a replacement filter, there's probably not much disadvantage to a cheek filter mask compared to a regular mask. But the only other thing I don't like for a cheek filter mask is all the time you've got the mask before it sees use, the filter is still being exposed to the air and chemicals, so the filter's still wearing down. The Germans didn't actually make the SHMS, it's just the East German designation is put on them if it's like with the East German carry bags and all that, as far as I'm aware. Because East Germany, as far as I'm aware, did not make any masks. They imported GP5s. They made a couple of industrial masks, I think. But as far as I'm aware, East Germany did not make any military masks. The charcoal adsorbs stuff inside Zeppelin, and then when the charcoal's finished adsorbing stuff, it just gets stuck, basically. You know, there's no more porous charcoal for the gas to catch on, so it goes through. The thing is, though, again, if they did that thing, but the problem is that if you look at most of the cheek filter masks, they don't seem to have ways that you can plug the filter and everything while they're in use. Apparently, the US, right at the end of the M17's lifespan, was going to do an airtight bag for the M17. But again, they only thought of that right at the end of the lifespan. So again, there's lots of buts and ifs that with a cheek filter mask that you could have improved them and done several sort of simple design changes to them, again, like you said. But the issue was a lot of those things didn't happen. Well, I've always found like medieval warfare interesting for as long as I can remember Zeppelin, but there's not really a straight answer to that. I've shown the radioactive things a few times, Exclude Zone, but hang on if you've not seen them. So, dosimeter pen. I don't think that's moved since the last time I looked at it. So in here, that's a uranium, what they call like Vaseline uranium bowl. Thorium lamp mantle with a radium watch dial in there. Uranium ore, although this isn't very hot, because if I put it in front of the Geiger, it's quite a low count I get off of that. Old German World War II watch, radium dial, Fiesta ware. There should be a bit of americinium. There it is. Americinium at the bottom there. And I've also got a little separate bit of uranium glass and what's it called? Tritium, like a little glass bit of tritium that glows in the dark. But that's quite fragile, so I won't move that around. But yeah, just to show you, to prove it's radioactive, in case you don't believe me. There you go. Evening, Richard. Yeah, I end up showing that Geiger counter quite a lot in the streams now because I've got the shelf set up with it where it can just sit at the back. It's very easy just for me to flick it on and put something in front of it. All right, evening to everybody just joining. No, I hadn't actually seen it before. It was one of those films I kept meaning to watch for ages and then kept forgetting to watch. I quite liked it. The only thing is that I found it gave me a bit of a headache from all like the shaky cam kind of fast moving things. But I was very impressed with like how they did literally everything with a GoPro in that film. So yeah, I was very impressed by Hardcore Henry, but it wasn't the best viewing experience for me in that sense, that I just, didn't like all the shaky cam stuff. But massive props to, all the effort they went in to make that film. I've seen the original Omen, and the Omen 2 and the Omen 3. Yeah, it's just on 9 o'clock here, but I'll be on for another 10 or so minutes, because as I said, there was some technical issues at the start of the stream, which was annoying, but Fallout New Vegas, I haven't streamed that in months, because the last time I did an Fallout New Vegas stream, YouTube did a thing where they got funny about it, and they're like, we've age restricted this video and all these different things, blah, 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 because of video game violence. And at the moment, because my current PC seems to be struggling in games, I'm not going to bother trying to use OBS and stream games at the same time, because it just seems to overheat and crash stuff. Oh, that's interesting, Jacob. So is that how the reactor filters work? Oh, you did the research on my reactor filters work, is that you've activated carbon like other filters, except the carbon must be impregnated into the material. That's interesting. So yeah, let me check my cyber power order and see. Maybe I will be lucky and let's see if there's any update on when I'm getting my PC. I'm hoping it still says the 29th, because if that's the case, that's Monday. It'll be either Monday or Tuesday if that's still the estimated date, but yeah, it's still showing 29th 07 2019 as the estimated shipping date. So I'm hoping that will be when I get it. But the problem was the Ryzen 9 sold out really quickly. So basically all the PC kind of sellers were like saying, like, we have to get them on back order. Sorry, your order's going to be delayed. Yeah, I mean, the problem is New Vegas doesn't always run at the best of times, even on a good PC, because it's Gamebryo engine with all the like inflated crap put in it. And while I think Obsidian have made a great game, they've not got a very good game engine to build it on. But yeah, that's the annoying thing. I wish Bethesda would really pull their finger out and get a new game engine. But, they're like, oh, people still keep buying our games if we use Gamebryo, now called Creation Engine, so we'll keep using it, even though it, like, stutters horribly and, it's aged terribly. Yeah, and it wasn't even finished properly. If Obsidian had all the time to work on New Vegas that they wanted to, there'd be way more quests and everything in it. Just sadly, Bethesda rushed it out the door. So it might have been less buggy and had more quests and everything in it. I think they wanted to do a more fleshed out Caesar's Legion quest line, but that never got finished just because the game had to be rushed out within like a year of them being told to make it. Yeah, I think it should work fine, Ghost Jesus, because obviously I'm getting a way better processor than my current one, better RAM, better cooling, better everything. So I don't see why I'd have problems with stuff crashing, unless it's, a fault in the actual software at this point. No, I've not seen any ones that I find particularly interesting, but I've not actually seen too many different kind of satchels for them. Are there any you'd say are interesting, Chris, that are unusual? Because, like, in terms of practicality, I quite like the kind of bags the S6, the S10, the FM12s all come in, because they're not too bulky and you can fit the mask and, like, 1 or 2 spare filters in there. One of my favourite bags is the Czech M10M's bag, because that's just like a really nice material and it's got a lot of space in it. But really, for me, a gas mask bag is just, is it a durable bag that can fit everything in without being too bulky? Yeah, I've got a 9590 in my current one, Ghost Jesus, which is similar to an 8350. And again, OBS was fine for ages. Then I think there was an update to OBS, and then for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to like my hardware as much since there's been a couple of updates. So what ends up happening is after streaming for a while, it either causes OBS to crash or like the GPU seems to get really hot now in OBS, but again, that could be the VRAM thing, couldn't it? What sort of price range are you looking at, Nitrous? Because it depends what country you're in, but I have a feeling that I've seen PBF not too much recently. Not that I've wanted to get another one. But there are some that are £10.99 to £13.99 plus postage. So yeah, lots in the £20 price range sort of thing. See ya, Bradley. So you can just, so you don't have to zip it then, Chris. You just literally can do it over and close it like that. Yeah, the thing is, the GSR's bag, I think, is quite nice in some ways. I just don't like how bulky it is. I think it's a very good bag if you wanted to store stuff in. But as a gas mask satchel, I find the bag's a bit big. But I know at least with the GSR bag, you can take the 2 bits off the sides, can't you? So you can make the bag smaller that way. Yeah, that's what GSR stands for. Britain used to have general service respirators in the sort of World War I, World War II period. Although they normally called them like box respirators in World War I, but they essentially were the GSRs, and you had like Mark IV GSR like that one, and the Mark V GSR. And then they've recently gone back to calling them GSRs again. Well, I mean, you can find sealed up PBF filters still for sale online, but there aren't like safe alternative filters for the PBF, if that's what you mean. Because unfortunately, I guess it's sort of an obsolete mask, and there's still a lot of the filters floating about, but nobody's really bothered. You know, I know the PBF is still used in a few places, but I think it's more used as just kind of like a riot control mask now, rather than as a proper NDC mask. But I imagine there's still bits of the Russian army that probably have PBFs, because I imagine lots of that stuff takes ages to find its way totally out of service. Well, it basically looks like an oversized Avon M50. The thing is, the GSR, as much as I hate on it, I think it's a mask that could have been really good if some of the components were better quality. Because if you look at the M50 and the GSR, I think they have got some good design choices in them. The problem I have with the GSR is I was lucky enough to get one that didn't even have one of the leaking flaws, like lots of ones that went into service had, or missing parts. But I still have the problem where it just seems really uncomfortable. And there's just lots of issues like where the weight seems poorly distributed on the mask. Yeah, I don't think I've tried storing other masks and filters in the GSR bag. That's because I've only got one of them, but... Yeah, what you're saying, Bartos, I think you get like single, double, and triple chamber bags, essentially, for a lot of masks. Or at least the old Warsaw Pact era ones. And that's obviously, single one is just where you have the mask and the filter stored in the one bit. Normally the dual section one is if they wanted to lay the bag out a bit better, and then you often have the ones that like free section, where you'd have a section for the filter, you'd have a section to store the hose and other bits, and a section to store the mask. Oh, sounds like a good filter. I don't think I've heard of the VK320 filter. Let me just look it up. Oh, cool. Oh wait, is that the ones that Hype said about, which are the modern like GP5 filters that are like black on the outside, but or is this a green filter? I can't tell from the picture because it's quite low res. 13.5 years warranty storage period, so that's pretty good. What sort of tests? I've tested it against banana oil and stuff like that, and it worked fine against that. But because M40s are so hard to get in the UK, I would not want to put it in lye or anything like that and damage it. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, the black ones, Pedro, from what Hype said, are the newer ones, and the black ones are great because they've actually got a paper particle filter in them, like a HEPA filter. So if I show you this Scott Pro filter, it's basically got the paper filter exactly like this one in it. So there's no risk of asbestos or anything like that. And they're like more modernised. But the green ones, I don't know, due to depend on the ages. I mean, potentially they could be, I suppose, like modern filters just in the old kind of filter case. That's annoying. Like I said, I've been lucky with customs recently, Laser. Like I said, customs is still something that's a bit of a pain in my ass because I always worry sometimes if they're going to cause me a problem. Oh, I'll show this because this came today. So, came in a sort of nice-ish box from China. There go the instructions. So, it's a fairly well-built plasma lighter. So, it's in a waterproof case. Then you put this bit off here. Push that bit. The lid opens. Then the ignition button's there. And the charging port's just there. But these are only about £10. But I imagine that rubber bit there will deteriorate fairly quickly because on my other survival lighter I had that had the same kind of system. That rubber bit, although it's still sealed properly, that rubber bit there kind of after like opening it and closing it like 50 times, that rubber bit just split and fell off. But and yeah, it won't open when that's on there at least, which is good. But yeah, so for £10 you're starting to get quite good electric arc lighters now. But yeah, I just thought I'd show that. I'll get a video done on it at some point, but I said it's quite a nice little thing for being fairly cheap. Yeah, exactly. The water resistance is nice. I like that on any lighter. If they've got a case that when it's sealed, if you drop it, it's not going to, just get water inside it and break instantly. What was in the metal band Ghost? Do you mean Nitrous? The Swedish are they Ghost? Alright, cool. Yeah, I do know Ghost are then. I quite like Year Zero. I haven't listened to loads of their stuff, but the tracks I like, I wish they did more of, are the ones where they kind of do like the ominous Latin chanting, like the person saying about the Omen earlier, like the theme to the Omen. Something satanic, isn't it? The theme to the Omen. I wish they did more stuff like that because I think it always sounds better when it's like that kind of sinister sounding Latin Gregorian chanting than actually when they're just singing normally. Well, Richard, there's technically been 2 streams tonight. I don't know if that's why, because I did the stream that I did the notification for. I started running into technical problems. I had to actually end that stream and start another stream because it wouldn't let me get back on that stream to just carry on doing it. But yeah, what I'll do is once this stream ends, I'll just delete the other stream because the other stream was pointless because I was only on it for like a minute and a half before it broke. That's cool, Chris. Yeah. So what sort of communications equipment can you plug that into? I assume that is the voice thing you're on about, wasn't it? I don't know if I have time to stream tomorrow. I'll definitely stream Sunday evening, I imagine. Saturday I won't stream because I'm working Saturday, and because I'm working Sunday, I don't like to get home from work, like have a bath or a shower, all that, and then stream. Like rushing it to fit it in. But Sunday I'll stream, but tomorrow I don't think I'll have time, in all honesty, because I've got a few things I need to do tomorrow. Let me look up Myra filters. Is it how they've packaged them? It looks like it's got a big solid plastic case on it. So their shelf life is 20 years. That's pretty good. No, I don't have a ham radio. Well, if you make a filter in a factory under proper conditions and you seal it properly, there's no reason it can't last 20 years. I think a lot of companies probably put shorter expiration dates on their filters to cover themselves. You know, like best before dates on food. But again, a lot of it comes down to how well they seal the filter, because some filters just come in like a plastic bag. It's vacuum packed, which is obviously a bit shit, because as soon as you get a hole in the bag, the filter's potentially compromised. Oh, that's very cool, Chris. Yeah, I'm not all that into radio stuff. That is good to know. Right, I'll finish the stream fairly soon because I've been on over an hour. But thank you for all the donations, Laserpoint. I appreciate that as always. I'll look into seeing if I can get that hose ordered potentially, because it would be good to get a proper normalised hose. That Chinese hose I've got seems to be normalised. I've still found with some filters they seem to grate a bit when you try and scrape them in. But like, that's cool, Nitrous. Don't worry about it. Like Hype was saying, he was saying like some Chinese hoses aren't normalised and others are, like depending if they're for domestic or export use or whatever. Yeah, as said, probably no stream tomorrow. All right, yeah, cheers, Chris. Because like I said, I find like a lot of that stuff sort of interesting. It's just I've never sort of looked into it, probably because of all the costs associated with it, to be honest. Yeah, cheers, Bartos. But yeah, cheers. I appreciate that. So yeah, as said, I doubt I'll stream tomorrow. There's always a chance I might, but there's a couple of things I've got planned to do tomorrow, and I think trying to fit a stream around that might be quite difficult. And then Saturday I'll be at work, Sunday I'll be at work, but Sunday evening I should potentially be able to stream, because obviously once I've got back I don't have to worry about getting up early Monday, because I don't have to think, oh no, I'm at work Monday. No, I've never tried G Fuel. Is that one of those sort of energy drink things? But yeah, cool. So I'll probably see everybody for a live stream Sunday. There will be a video at 5 p.m. tomorrow, and another one 5 p.m. Sunday anyway, because they're scheduled videos. But yeah, thanks everybody. It's been a good stream. My room's finally cooling down at least a bit, according to that. So yeah, cool. See everybody, and thank you. And yeah, see you Sunday, hopefully on a live stream. So bye.